What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be showing you the number one automation that has the biggest impact inside my agency. And this is what I leverage to customize my smart lead access across every single one of my clients. It's also what I leverage to create custom clay folders unique to every single one of those clients. It's also what I leverage to create custom reports inside HubSpot, Google Drive folders, and so much more. And by the way, I have over 39 active automations within my agency. And at this point, I've probably made 200, 300, something like that, right? And so when I say that this is the number one automation for agencies, I don't say that lightly. Let's dive in. So what this is the client onboarding automation. This is, in my opinion, the most important automation because everything that happens during the onboarding has a huge impact throughout the entire life cycle of that customer. So one example is obviously customizing the client access. When we customize the client access, it's something that happens once. The very first time we onboard them, it happens. But every single time they access our Smart Lead account, it is personalized to them and we don't have to do that again, right? And obviously, to be able to do that, we have to input a bunch of code. And so this is the code that we have to input. Like, look at this, right? It's a lot of code. And so either you're going to have a long SOP document with a bunch of documents saying, add this code, add this code. I've got 5 different scripts going on over here. Or you can simply have an automation over here that adds the smart lead code, header colors, up colors, drawer colors. That's what you're seeing over here. And so that is the first part. And as you can see, this is 1, 2, 3, right? We've got a lot more to go through, right? And I'm going to be going through all of that with you. So the very first thing to understand is where these clients are stored. They're all stored within my my ClickUp account. And so inside ClickUp, I've got a system like this, which is campaigns, client comms, clients, domains, playbooks, sales funnel, and all of my clients are going to be in this section over here. And one thing I want to quickly touch on as we're here is putting your clients in different folders, right? And then each of those folders having campaigns, client comms, domains, all of that stuff, right? That is really good practice if you do a lot of custom work where every single one of your clients are going to be getting different things. If you, on the other hand, run a productized agency where your deliverables are the exact same for every single client, in my case, every single client's getting campaigns, every single client's getting communicated to, every single client's getting domains, playbooks, sales funnel, every single client's getting the same thing. In that case, you should have a system like this where it goes from a space to a list, right? And this space, in my case, is called Afonto. You can probably just call it like campaigns or something, and then have a different space for marketing or something else, right? But that's how I would recommend it. If you do a lot of custom work, folders are the way to go. And so moving on, the first thing that we're doing is we are creating a brand new client. And when we create a client, we're going to be adding these particular fields: billing contacts, company, email, recipients, Slack ID, website, right? Very, 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 very basic stuff. Although I'll probably remove the Slack ID as I don't require clients to have that anymore. But what that's going to output us is all of this other information, such as the Clay ID, right? The Clay ID is something that we get after the folder has been created, right? It gives that back to us. The next thing it gives us is the company description, value prop, pain points. And so we're using Clay to research the client. And so if we were to go into our Clay account, we actually have a section over here, which is business automation. Click up client onboarding. It goes into this and then it does everything. So 10 free email templates. This is actually a very similar thing that I was working on, where we simply input the company website and then we get the LinkedIn URL, LinkedIn. We use Clayagent and ChatGPT to come up with the value prop, pain points, all that stuff, right? In this particular case, we're just creating a bunch of emails which get outputted in an onboarding doc like this. And by the way, this is another thing that we get, right? And so after I've onboarded a client, I've actually changed the name of this. Instead of being an onboarding doc, it's called an engagement doc. And so whenever they have something new to add that is relevant for us to see, they just add it here and both of us get to see that information, right? Such as the website URL, value prop, ICP, pain points. But in their case, a lot of the times they want to share like PDF files or things like that. We also, by the way, create folders, right? And so these folders are going to have different campaigns. And they're also going to have like an engagement doc section where they could just drop in their PDFs and other things like that. But all of this, again, this is happening on the onboarding, the very first day, the very first minute of them signing with me. This is happening. But this keeps playing a role for the entire duration of our engagement. That's why this is so important. The entire engagement relies on this being set up properly. That's why I'm a huge proponent of having this stuff automated. And as you can see, like, just go back to this right here. This is a 10-minute task. This is a 10-minute task. Log into Smart Lead, change this code, put this code like this, do all of this stuff, add all of the categories. So remove all of these categories over here, change these settings over here. This is a 10, 15, 20-minute task. But we just get it done all over here. And by the way, I'm going to slow down and go into every single one of these components. But I just want to give like a high level overview so that you're understanding what's going on, right? So first thing that happens, we create the client. After we've added all of this information, it's going to trigger this webhook. And this webhook is what's going to get the data. And then we're going to use a Smart Lead data store to get the API key. This is very important for someone like me who runs a bunch of automations. We need to actually store our API keys and passwords and different things in a data store, ensuring that if I were to change the API key, it changes automatically for every single thing. For example, we can look at getting the Smart Lead token. This is the URL that you get the Smart Lead token, and then we've got the email. And I'm realizing it might be covered right now. You use the email and then you use the password. But as you can see, the password is an API key over here. And so if I were to forget my if I were to change my password, like, no problem. The data store's got that information covered, and we don't have to worry about that across every single one of our automations, right? It's a huge time saver. And so the next thing we do is we get the task. And by getting the task, we're going to be getting that key information: billing contacts, company, emails, Slack channel ID, right? And so with that information, we're going to search for them in Stripe. If they exist, we're good. If they don't exist, we're going to create them as a customer inside Stripe. And I'll probably add another step over here, which sends them an invoice, which checks if they have a subscription or invoice. If not, we send them, right? And then we update our ClickUp task. And so when we update the ClickUp task, this is simply just saying, like, this is the Slack person, right? Which, as I did mention, the output for everything that we're doing is coming back here. Everything that we're doing is coming back here, right? And so the next thing is the client folders, right? Client folder, engagement docs, onboarding doc, which I'm going to be renaming right now, as I did mention, engagement. And then I'm realizing I don't know how to spell engagement doc, right? Engagement doc, email campaigns, ClickUp client, right? And so that's what I was talking about, right? Every single client has a folder inside Google Drive. Each of those folders have different things going on inside them, such as campaigns and engagement docs section, right? And then we update our ClickUp account with the Google Drive files. And by the way, like, this stuff comes back so hard, like, later on. Like, let me show you something, right? Inside the campaign section, we're able to create a bunch of campaigns. I guess we could just do this one for now. So we go to the build list section. And as you can see, one client over here, we've got a bunch of campaigns over here. And if we were to click on any of these drive folders, these are going to take us to the specific one. So sales leader 2 and 1, sales leaders 2 and 1, right? And I don't have a super crazy defined system right now for using the drive folders, but maybe one day, like, I know there's gonna be a use case, and I don't want to have to come back and reset up my structures, because I've dealt with that, and it's a pain, right? But All of this stuff is super organized, right? Next thing, Slack channel. We get the Slack channel. If the Slack channel does not exist, we simply add it and then update the things inside ClickUp. Over here, HubSpot properties, right? We're going to be checking for the property, and the property we're going to be looking for is the client property. And so this is simply like a drop down select property. And so we're going to be looking for that information and parsing through it with a text aggregator. So this is what we give it, right? We give it all of this information, and then we add the latest client. And so we basically just concatenated the two fields together, right? And then once those have been concatenated together, we simply just add it over here as a brand new client, in addition to all of the other clients that already existed, right? And then we create a contacts list. And so a contacts list is going to look something like this, where it's got a bunch of our clients, right? Client over here. We have not created any campaigns at this point, so you can ignore that. But we're able to see all of the contacts associated with this particular client. And where we associate the specific client is during our Clay workflows, right? And so after we've added the leads into our smart lead campaigns, we look up for those leads. And so when we look up for the leads, it's going to give us key information such as the lead campaign data. And then from there, we add the specific client inside HubSpot, right? Over here, we've got ClickUp. ClickUp, this is just giving us some views. These views are what we use inside the sales funnel. And so the sales funnel is basically just taking leads that are coming from our smart lead account. As you can see, all of these leads have a smart lead campaign URL, right? So if we were to click on this, it's going to take us to the specific campaign URL for the specific person, right? And dear Noel, thank you. Your initial email. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, let's go. Okay. Anyways, so we click on a random lead. I got lost. I'm sorry. I got too flattered over here. Okay, so this is what we're doing. We're creating these list views over here. So every single one of our clients is going to have a list view, and this list view is going to be filtered by them. So if we were to go to Afonto, we're going to see that I've got a bunch of leads over here that are closed and transferred, closed and sequenced, etc., right? Okay. Next up is the Clay stuff, right? And so Smart Lead. Inside Smart Lead, we create the client webhook. So we create one webhook, two webhook, three webhook. We change the client categories, and so these client categories are these ones over here, which is do not contact, etc. We create the client folder also within Smart Lead, and I've created a video on that. We duplicate a subsequence, update the campaign status, archive sub. This was for a system that is probably outdated. I will delete these three, but it was for subsequence templates. And then we do everything right. So we move the campaign, we add the scripts, right? And I've already shown you all of that information, right? And by the way, I have a video on this particular topic. So you can definitely check out my channel to see more of the comprehensive details on that, but we just don't have enough time to dive in, unfortunately, right? Last thing over here, we're doing the same thing inside Clay. We're getting the tokens, creating the folder, and then creating a subfolder within it and another subfolder, right? And so if we go back to Clay over here, we go to the home page, we can see for one client, for example, that we've got the Clay list building folder, the resources, the archived, right? And so these folders we use for different things, right? For example, the resources has a block list, manufacturing lookalike, just basic stuff, right? And that's what's allowing us to do that, right? And then we update ClickUp with all of that information. And then finally, we have a Google Sheets doc. This Google Sheets doc is a dashboard, essentially, right? It's going to be it's embedded within our dashboard. So the Afonto master dashboard, it's embedded within that. And this is what's allowing us to keep track of the sending across every single one of our clients. But this is within Sheets, and I also have another video for that. But again, video's getting long, so I'm going to have to drop off over here. If you found this video helpful, leave a like and let me know what you would like to see. Cheers!